Let's take a step back and talk about the American comic book industry, because all of the charts for January 2022 are out now. So I want to take a look at these and talk about it, because once again, there's a lot of really interesting signs here that American comic books are in a lot of trouble. So I want to start here with the top 20 adult graphic novels. Now, I find it funny that they actually separate these. Like, there's a top 20 graphic novels, which is based on comic store data. I want to be very clear on what that is. Comic store data means they're only taking this from 3,000 American comic shops. This is a small, non-random sample of over 3,000 stores selling American comics worldwide. That's all this is. Whereas the quotations top 20 adult graphic novels come from the actual book sales. So not just American comic shops. This is a chart that looks at everything. From what I understand, it comes from if you go to Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, I believe. This is a real chart. And the interesting thing about this chart is American comic books can crack this chart. We've seen it before. Fortnite Batman cracked this chart once, which is funny. It took Fortnite and Batman teaming up for them to crack this chart. I just find it funny. It's a little bit of optics to call it adult graphic novels. Okay? They do that to kind of, I think, soften the blow and run a little cover for American books, but it is what it is. So, Chainsaw Man. Look at this. This is a new property. I want to point it out. I think Chainsaw Man is only 2 or 3 years old. It's not an old franchise. And it's completely dominating this chart. Look at this chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 8. For some reason, 7's not on here. That's pretty damn impressive. It just kind of shows you the power of a good new property, which comics just does not seem to be able to figure out. The indie comics can do it, but not the mainstream. They just rely on a lot of the same old shit, particularly DC Comics, who I'm going to get to because they're in a lot of trouble. But look at that. Chainsaw Man. Just everybody wants to see Chainsaw Man. It's a hot, hot property and can confirm it's a good property. It's pretty awesome. It's getting an actual anime soon. But the book is really good. I highly suggest you check it out. I love it. It's crazy, over the top. I mean, come on. The dude's made out of chainsaws. Of course, it's interesting. Now, I want to focus on DC Comics for the rest of the way. Now, I just did a video on them recently on how the Superman book crashed and burned, and I thought that was hilarious. Let's laugh at the company overall now, because they're in really bad shape. So here's top 20 graphic novels. This is based on comic book store data only. And when you go down there, what do you see? One DC comic book, Nightwing Volume One, Leaping into the Light, hardcover. So this is a hardcover. They've already released this, but people are buying the hardcover now. What's the rest? Image, Marvel, Boom. Boom's on here a bunch of times. They're a smaller company. And I also want to point out, graphic novels is where a lot of the money comes in for these publishers. They make a shitload of money because they've already released the books, and now they're taking them and repackaging them and selling them again. And from what I understand, they don't have to pay out as much. These are almost pure profit. I could be wrong there, but from what I understand, these companies make a lot of money on the graphic novels versus the floppies. But check it out. You got Dragon Ball Super on there. You've also got Chainsaw Man on there. And another book right here. Oh, and then Demon Slayer cracks it. And this is on comic book store sales. But only one DC comic book makes it, Nightwing. That's it. Still a Batman book. Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. That's interesting. I didn't know they were doing that. Might be worth checking out. I love omnibuses. I think they're clean and they're big. I like those a lot. But that's an interesting thing to point out. So one DC comic book, Nightwing Volume 1. And then we've got another one. Here's the top 50. Now, I went over this in a previous video. I'm going to look at it a little bit more now and point out once again, month after month, the only DC comic books that get on this list are Batman books. Batman at number 3. Dark Knights of Steel at number 19. Detective Comics at 21. Detective Comics at 23. Joker at 25. Detective Comics at 27. How many fucking Detective Comics do they release in a month? Nightwing at 33. Batman the Knight at 36. Detective Comics at 38. Robin and Batman at 39. And then finally, at 42, the only non-Batman book to make the list, Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 6. Now, keep in mind, the funny thing about that book is the last time number 5 was on the chart, it was at number 6. And that was with all kinds of mainstream press because they were celebrating the fact that he was bisexual. After that initial book, it dropped back down instantly. And I bet you in 2 months, it won't be on this top 50 chart at all, like the rest of the DC comic book characters. Nobody cares about the DC comic book characters. The only characters they care about are Batman-related characters because Nightwing, Batgirl, all those characters will make this list. Any book with Batman on the title will make this list. And because of that, DC Comics is pumping out more and more and more Batman stuff. And what this is going to do is cause Batman fatigue because, you know, Spider-Man is equivalent to Batman, and he makes the chart as well multiple times. Ben Reilly Spider-Man is released. Amazing Spider-Man is released several times a month now, makes the list. But you know what they're not doing? Putting out 13 or 14 Spider-Man books. I think that's a big difference. But of course, Marvel Comics is doing all right. Look at how many times they're on this chart. So it's pretty damn telling. You know, listen, they're putting all this Batman shit out there. Eventually, people are going to get fatigued on Batman because there's so much. And when that happens, DC Comics is going to be really in trouble. What they need to do is figure out how to tell stories with these characters that people are actually interested in and release those. Because when they rely on identity politic gimmicks like they did with Superman, Son of Kal-El, it absolutely does not work. Because the book was at number 6 and then it drops back down to where it was at number 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And, you know, I don't see that book sticking around because it's not very good. Tom Taylor's very overrated. The book has already doubled down on with real world issues like climate change, which is funny because Superman could act like John Kent. Superman could actually do something about climate change because he has ice breath. He could go around and cool the world if he wanted to. And, you know, he doesn't need to sit around with a sign and fight climate change. He could actually do something about it. So it's just funny that they're doing this shit and ignoring that. And that's just, I would argue, when you look at what actually sells, people aren't interested in climate books and identity politics. There's a reason that anime or that manga dominates these charts, is because people just want fun, good stories. People don't want this bullshit. And these people are letting Twitter politics influence their shit like they have for the past couple of years. And now you're really taking notice on how bad it's getting. And I do think DC Comics is going to be in trouble by the end of the year because people are going to get sick at like 35 Batman books every week. So maybe I'll be wrong, but I think that what I'm saying is going to come true. So we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, Dead Company, not looking very good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I do watch parties, play video games over there. They're always fun. Follow me over there and come hang out. Also, make sure you subscribe to YellowFlash, my other channel. There's a link to that in the description as well. I do a lot of live streams over there that I don't do on this channel. Usually smaller and a little bit more personal. So make sure you follow me over there and sign up.